You've got some sheets in your hand. Scott, I was able to make copies, or we made copies of the governor's letter. So that being said, you're up. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I get a little bit of a lag time so if there's like a 3 or 4 second delay before a response, that's probably on my end.
Can you all hear him? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They can all hear you, so we're good.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to start with what you know about the refugee.
So, perfect. So, one of the great parts that has been unsettling to me was that I found out about this just like everybody else, which was on the news. Now, the governor has the ability to make this decision unilaterally, and it does not require any kind of legislative consent. However, would have been preferable for him to give us a heads up that this was coming. When I first heard about this, I heard the number of refugees that was going to be resettled was somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000. And that number lingered out there for well over a week. When he finally released a statement, or his office did, we have come to find out that that number is going to be closer to between 30 to 75, most likely between 30 to 50. So that's where we are at now. Overall background on the refugee process. Since the adoption of the U.S. Refugee Act in 1980, the United States of America has resettled 3 out of 4 million refugees. We have led every other country combined in taking in refugees. So suffice to say, I feel that, that our country has been doing more than our fair share. When President Trump came into office in 2017, he reduced the number of the refugee cap from 106,000 down to 50,000. Now, President Obama, on his way out, set the cap at 106,000, and when Trump came in January 20th, he lowered that down to 50,000. And so in 2017, we ended up resettling 33,000 out of that 50,000. In 2018, we took in 22,500, and when I say we, I'm talking about the United States of America, not Arkansas. And in 2019, we resettled 30,000. So that puts us about 76,000 over the past 3 years. So now, one thing I will say, and I can't speak to what these enhanced measures are, but I do know that the Trump administration has significantly increased the security measures that a person seeking refugee status must go through. That process can take anywhere between 18 to 24 months. So these people that are coming are not the same as somebody that's just showing up at the southern border and just coming across. I mean, they have gone through some vetting. Now, the extent of that, I cannot say. But suffice to say that it's more than in previous administrations. We will be having a meeting in the Capitol next week on Monday in City County Local, of which I'm a member, regarding this issue. And it's my understanding, I think the governor plans on being there. So hopefully we'll get some more information at that time. But at this point, I've given, you all have a copy of it, of the letter that the governor's office has sent out to senators. So with that, I want to open it up to questions from you all or any concerns that you all have with this process.
Does anybody have a question for Scott? And he's going to be bringing your questions back to the state meeting. He may not have the answer for you tonight, but I'd like you to step up to the podium here and ask questions. I'm sure you have some. Anybody? Go, Tony, go. You started to make a move.
Well, it's just a simple question.
Got to speak up.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
Okay. On this, what is there I haven't read through this very quickly, but what is a timetable on this? Is there you're saying there's like 75 refugees in 2020, and these are people?
That's authorized to resettle. That doesn't mean that that's exactly the number that we're going to take in. From what I'm hearing now, that's going to be closer to 30 to 50, but the cap would be 75. Now, they have to go through one of these nonprofits, and in Arkansas, it's an organization called Canopy, and I guess they're actually a nationwide organization that specializes with the resettlement process for these folks. So it's my understanding that they are all going to be resettled over in Northwest Arkansas, which is the other key component here, Mr. Chairman. And I think the audience should know that per President Trump's directive, before a refugee could come to a state, it had to be signed off by that state's governor and local elected official for the destination of the refugees, which has been construed to be the mayor. Thus far, I think 15 and counting Republican governors have signed on to take more refugees.
I wanted to help bring something up because on my way over, I heard on the news. I don't know if it's the state of Wisconsin, but there was a county that voted against having refugees come in, and it's supposed to be voluntary, mind you. And I believe there was a Democrat politician up there saying, if you do not agree with this, we will strip funds that go to your county. There is nothing like that here. I mean,
Can you say that one more time? You cut out the very end there, Tony.
The issue was, I believe it was the state of Wisconsin, where there was some similar program like this going on, and a local county rejected it, and then a Democrat legislator from the state said that they were going to strip funds or block funds that go to that county. Is there anything like that could?
I've not heard of anything like that. And the only case that I believe that I read something similar that it was going on in North Dakota, in the county that the capital was located in, and that and it could be very well happening in other states like Wisconsin. I have not heard any talk about restricting funds. I'm sure options are on the table at this point. The majority of the cost is going to be incurred at the federal level. Now, we all pay federal taxes here, so that's coming out of our pockets as well. There is, from my understanding, that's roughly about $2,100 a month, give or take. They will be eligible for food stamps, for Medicaid, for education. So, indeed, some of our tax dollars are going to be going to help subsidize some of these folks. And it will not be 100% federally funded. Now, the resettlement process supposedly takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months. I still cannot tell you exactly what criteria has to be met for them to determine that the process has been completed. But when it has been completed, I can tell you all that they are free to move wherever they want, whether it's in Arkansas or any other state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Have some more questions?
Thanks for being the guinea pig.
Always, Bob.
My understanding of this from speaking to Jack Fournier, actually, was that these people are about 75, Jack Fournier, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That these people are about 75%, 80% employed. That actually there isn't much state aid involved in this at all. That they're coming in through a church group, and that they've all got jobs. That's why the number may be 70, but they're really only looking at 30. Might be because they're not able to get into the jobs that they thought they had.
Well, I don't know, Bob, and again, don't hold my feet to the fire on this, that whether or not a refugee is employed or not would matter whether, in that overall number of the number that is going to be allowed in the state. I do know that, per information that I've been looking at and things that I have read, that a good portion of them do become employed fairly, quickly, especially if they're able to speak English. But that's not to say all.
No, I'm not, that wasn't what I was saying. But they're doing their best to assimilate them into America.
You bet.
I'm second generation. My line isn't very long from coming from someplace else as a refugee. And there's a big difference between being a refugee and being someone who's crossing a river and time an offense.
Huge. Yeah, and I appreciate that distinction, Bob, because I think that's an important distinction to make, that there is a fairly significant difference between the folks that are just coming here illegally and just crossing the border at will versus the people that are coming here as refugees. They have gone through, as I said earlier, a vetting process that lasts roughly between 18 to 24 months. So this is not just a wham bam overnight ordeal. That there are procedures that the federal government has put into place to vet these folks. And so there is a process there, which if you're coming here illegally, you're going through no process, no vetting. You're just showing up.
Exactly. Okay, thank you.
Come on,
Next.
somebody else. Darlene, come on up.
Hi, Darlene.
I just have a quick question. Up there to the
Up there, so he can hear
They're not
you.
gonna let me shout. And I don't, well, see, it'd be a lot easier if
I
I
can
just
hear
shout.
everybody.
No, up
Okay,
there.
where's the,
Go up to the podium.
There's a piece of cheese at the end of the ladder.
geez, I'm there. So I just had a quick question about their status after they've been here, after their 6 months, and they can move anywhere. Are they fast tracked towards citizenship, or do they just stay refugees?
That's one of the questions that I actually have planned to ask next week, because that's something a question that I've received quite a bit, is the pathway to citizenship and what that looks like. So I don't want to speak on that right now, Darlene, because I do not know. But that is something that I do plan on asking when we have our meeting next Monday. And I will certainly report back to you all what I find out there. But I can't give you an answer right now.
Okay.
And I'd also, acknowledge that, from my understanding, that Arkansas took in a number of refugees last year. The distinction is that President Trump signed a directive in September of last year, kind of changing our refugee policy that made it to where the governor and the local official had to sign off before they could move to that state. Now, they could still come to Arkansas or any other state without the approval of the governor and the local elected official, i.e. the mayor, but they would lose their eligibility for federal assistance.
Do we have another question? Oh, Karen's coming.
Okay, I want to know, what have you been hearing from other people? What are their concerns, or what have you been hearing around the state?
Thank you. That's a great question. What I've been hearing from other people, most of, is confusion, which is part of my aggravations for why I thought the governor's office should have gotten out ahead of this on the front end, because as a senator, and I'm not the only one of my colleagues, the numbers that we were being told was between 4,000 to 5,000. And that number lingered out there for, like I said, well over a week. So what people want to know is how many, what's the process, what's the cost, and is there a pathway to citizenship? And those are the questions, the 4 or 5 questions that I have heard the most of these past 2 weeks. Which, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, these are things that could have been more readily addressed on the front end instead of the back end.
Thank you.
Do I see Raymond Mayo in the back there?
Yeah.
Come on up, Raymond. You got a question.
And puppets over there.
Come on up.
How are you, man?
Bob pretty much covered my question.
Well, that's okay.
Right here gives you away.
What do you want me to come up? You just want to see me? Is that what it is?
Well, he wants to hear you. You're closer to the microphone then.
I just wanted to say hello, man.
Hey, man, good to see you, Scott.
Always good to see you, sir.
And we still appreciate what you're doing. You hear that? We still appreciate
sir.
what you're doing. No, I think Bob pretty much covered my question, because it was on number 8 on that, what we got here. It says, what social services are refugees eligible for? And it actually lists them there. And I think you made the same comment too. The last line says, 100% of the refugee households have seen reductions or terminations of this public assistance because of income within the first 6 months of arrival in this state. So, wouldn't you agree that these people are actually working towards being Americans, in my opinion?
And again, I think that's a very important distinction to make, that, you know, I don't believe for a second that all these people, not just the refugees coming to Arkansas, but all those that are coming to America are looking just to come to freeload. Yeah. Now, some may, but those are probably on the margins. I don't know what the process is or how consistent that is with employment. When somebody tells me 100%, I'm usually kind of skeptical, because if you can get 100% out of anything, I would be impressed. But I would dare to say that probably the majority of them at some point within that 3 to 6 month period do become employed.
Yeah. Okay. The only other question I had, Scott, is this the only topic tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Not unless you plan on ambushing me with something else, Raymond.
Oh, no.
Extension of the road tax, and that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah. You're asking for it, Scott, that's all.
Scott, we have about 6 minutes left. We have about 6 minutes left. So the floor is yours unless someone else has a burning question. Nope. 6 minutes. All for you, and then we're going to cut. And I just want to say I think this format is going to work really well for our county to bring speakers here and answer some questions. Scott, how was it for you as far as the reception? You could hear things, you can see things. Can you give us a little feedback? You're our guinea pig.
You just got a 5-second pause there.
Oh, okay.
Can you say that one more time?
All of it? How was the experience doing this for you as our speaker?
It was much better than I actually anticipated. I'm able to see everybody now. The picture's a little blurry, so I can't really make out the details of faces. But as I said, I could tell Raymond was sitting back there in the back row there by his white hair. I'm able to hear everybody very well, very clearly. The only issue that I've had, and it is most likely on my end, has been some momentary brief pauses in the connection.
Slow internet.
But those only last for 2 or 3 seconds.
It's not us, because we're not getting it on our side at all.
Yeah, you've been pretty seamless coming through.
Like right now,
to
I'm
us.
having a pause.
Oh,
That's it.
that must be your internet speed. Can you hear me or no? I think we lost him.
No, he's there, he's there.
Can you hear us?
No, you lost him, our picture fell off.
Yeah, I saw it go.
Our picture has gone off. Okay, so that little picture that you see in the bottom right, that's
Well, it
what he's
was.
viewing.
Let him know that
So,
they're alive and well.
She's going to call him back right now. So this is done through Facebook, free.
Hello.
There we go. He's back.
No, it's not.
Can you,
But he can't
No, he
see
can't.
us.
He can't see us.
Can you hear us?
can you hear us?
No.
No, I don't know.
Well, if you hang up and reconnect.
Oh, there.
Well, that's us. We have to get hold of him now, yeah.
And tonight there's storms, so we don't know what type of an internet connection he has. Okay, well,
Oh, there he is.
there he is. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, as I was just saying, I get a brief pause, which in that case turned into be a 2-minute pause.
Okay, well, we're learning as we go.
The experience on my end has been great. Minus that last glitch, it's worked well.
Okay.
When do you have your meeting with the governor? When is that?
It'll be I think it's at 10 a.m. on Monday. It might be at 1.
Okay.
And then I think Linda has me on schedule to do a brief report back in February. However, y'all have my cell phone number, so if you have any questions sometime next week, you're just welcome to shoot me a text or give me a call.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will be in Little Rock all of next week, so and then we'll be back. Actually, I'll have to come back to Harrison on Wednesday morning and then drive back. But We'll be back on Friday evening, so if y'all need me, just call.
Okay, be sure you brag on Marion County that we're doing this high-tech stuff.
Listen, this is the only committee that I know of that is doing this. Awesome.